Keep Right with Ralph K. Ginorio, Prisoners of Hope. Monotheists are called to be prisoners of hope, as the prophet Zechariah once said. We are to ground our perspective on the unprovable premises of faith, rather than the tangible calculations of our reason. Whether or not each American is a monotheist, our shared Western civilization is grounded in Judeo-Christian assumptions about the meaning of life and of the universe. This transcendent foundation is a key to the unique success of the United States in human history. Myths and legends of the old world, especially those from beyond and before Christianity, are weighed down by a pervasive pessimism. All victory is passing. Every effort ultimately ends in entropy. This life is a realm of tears, irredeemable, at least through our own human efforts. There is wisdom in this. We are not gods. We can never purge life of its miseries. No man-made utopia can result in anything other than an intensification of needless suffering. Communism proves this. However, such grim world weariness can lead to a paralysis of the will to strive for the good despite all logic. Traditionally, the American variant of Western civilization is rooted in the faith that inspired the Pilgrims and Puritans to risk their all in hopes of building God's new Israel in the wilderness. Look what this trust in the power of God to redeem a fallen human condition has wrought. Our founding fathers replaced the British Empire, which is probably the best of the great world empires in terms of liberalism, with an even better Enlightenment-inspired republic. In this new liberty, a man's words and deeds mattered more than who his father was. Unprecedented prosperity, progress, and freedom resulted. In this thrilling new meritocracy, the original propertied European American men sacrificed to expand their citizenship to include all European American men, then all adult men, including former slaves, then women. The unshackling of inspiration from the chains of identity gave wing to countless dreams, each of which contributed to making a new modern lifestyle of unprecedented wealth, education, power, and ease. One tragic result of the failure of most American schools and colleges to effectively teach history is that the sheer magnitude of the fruits of American freedom has been lost in a cacophony of politically motivated whinging. Today's leftist educators bemoan that our failure to live up to their utopian standards from the beginning of the Republic was worse than useless. Far from recognizing what our freedoms have brought into being for all humanity, these academics assert that because we are not in their eyes perfect, then we are uniquely evil. The ideas of those utopian academics are themselves rooted in hubris and can only lead to nemesis. Despite the growth of freedom in America, we are damned by such false teachers, as if our cultural ancestors were the only ones who permitted slavery and engaged in tribal chauvinism. Nothing could be further from the truth. Today, in our high culture, popular culture, and 24-hour news cycle, we are beset by tidings of hopelessness. The cult of man-made climate change says that humanity must impoverish and enslave itself to a new aristocracy of virtue. To save the planet, our liberty must die. Archons of environmental rectitude must be given total control over every aspect of our lives. We commoners can no longer be trusted with adult decision-making. Crime is now indulged, from seemingly endless waves of international invaders to a perpetual state of anarchic violence in our cities. Institutions which exist to promote the American way of life now serve to undermine it at every opportunity. Leaders whose purpose should be to defend our rights and freedoms now serve a cabal of amoral Swiss bankers, the kind of men who once joyfully made the National Socialist German Workers' Party richer than Croesus. Those who ground their reality in what the electronic media broadcasts are left bereft of any reason to hope that the tides of disillusion can be reversed. Dissolution. Logically, they imply the West in general and the United States in particular are well past the point of no return. This is why being a prisoner of hope is so important. The Jewish people continue to survive, even thrive in a world filled with people who for over 5,000 years have eagerly tried to murder them all. For 2,000 years, Christians have endured and even prospered despite persecutions from totalitarians ranging from the Roman Emperor Diocletian to Red China's chairman Xi Jinping. How can we each endure the unendurable? How can we, as individuals, go on under the crushing burdens of grief and despair? How can we, as a people, restore Ronald Reagan's optimism that America's best days are still ahead? The only antidote to the mind-bending hopelessness being stoked by our would-be overlords through the media is to be a prisoner of hope. Ground your perspective in transcendent good and try to live in the light at all costs. Fail, atone, and try again to dream the impossible dream of being a worthy person of God. Do not indulge in outrage and do not allow anger to consume and define you. Instead, make the leap of faith into a life defined by both being good and doing good. The enemies of a free and humane humanity expect people to behave at their lowest common denominator as bestial and selfish thugs who in no way can be trusted with important decisions. Those who would replace our republic with their new feudalism count on us to become so contemptible in our desperation, a desperation that they will engineer, that we will need to be ruled with an iron fist for our own good. As was said in the film Rob Roy, honor is the gift that a man gives himself. No person can compel treachery, rapine, theft, or betrayal from the unwilling. Refuse to be anything but your best self each and every time you are in control of your choices, determined to behave honorably, come what may, under even the most extreme circumstances. Take inspiration from those around you who are already doing this. I knew a man whose family had been destroyed in every way imaginable by Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution in Red China in the late 60s and early 1970s. He and his family had endured things that most Americans could not even imagine. When he came here to the United States, he was persistently gentle, helpful, hopeful, and positive. He went out of his way to be of good use to those around him in every situation where I saw him. I know a woman who is a sworn peace officer who at every opportunity engages with those around her who are suffering. Her goodwill is a force of nature, offering help spontaneously and without expectation of recompense. Her generosity is even to the point of offering to be a living organ donor to a colleague in need of life-saving surgery. She watched over a person plagued by dementia to keep him safe, fed, and ultimately housed in a supervised facility, saving his life. This humble woman is not a saint, but she is a blessing to everyone around her. Do not let despair define you, especially in these trying times. Be alive and be useful. as a prisoner of hope.